I just want to live a clean, free life. But I want to be in control of my mind, not be on autopilot. I want to control my thoughts. And I literally, when I get up and I am conscious, I say to the universe, the higher power, whatever, show me how good today can be.
Our ever-changing world calls upon the most courageous, resilient, and relentless of us to face its most extraordinary challenges. To help you embark on this journey, we present the Impactful Coaching Podcast, your oasis for inspiration and a beacon to spark the fires of greatness within you. I'm Joseph. I will be your ally in this journey to empower your potential. Join us each week as we dive deep into the heart of ambition, drive, and success to unravel compelling stories of daring leaders who dreamed, struggled, and achieved victory. Our journey begins now. How is everybody doing? My name is Joseph, and this is the Impactful Coaching Podcast. Thank you to all of you, whether this is your first time joining us on the program or you've been a dedicated listener thus far. Don't forget to send feedback to joseph@impactfulcoachingpodcast.com. It is spelled the way you think. I just wanted to start by saying good morning to my guest today, Ireene Siniakis. Ireene, I usually ask, how you doing? How are you feeling? We got you up pretty early today for this, and so I just wanted to thank you for your willingness to do that. I'm just, how are things going on today, like today?
Hi, Joseph. So lovely to meet you. Things are well over here in Australia, but yes, it is a little bit early, but no worries. I'm happy to be here and help.
And then for those of you wondering, on the video side, just due to the time that we're recording this over in Australia, we agreed that the camera was not necessary, but we've got a picture on screen, or just close your eyes and just listen to the dulcet tones of our voices. Ireene, first question for you to start this off is, and you've answered this before because I know you've been on other podcasts, but we got to do it. Tell us what you do and what you're up to these days.
Yeah, so I'm an online weight loss coach. So basically I help women all around the world lose weight. And it's interesting because they come to me because they want to lose weight. But when we work together and sort of unpack their life, it becomes an all-encompassing life coaching / weight loss coaching program. Because over the years of coaching, it really does drill down to mindset. It's not just about the things you eat and the food you eat or exercising. It's a holistic, mind-body connection. So I'm basically, weight loss coach. I have another business as well, which is a seasoning business. I always like to dabble in different things, keep myself occupied. But yeah, I've been coaching for many, many years, started as a personal trainer, food coach, online weight loss coach. So that's what I do all the way from Australia, but my clients are all around the world.
And what I had seen on your website is that you've been in this industry for quite a while, and there's been shifts and recalibrations on it, but you've been in the health industry for about 30 years. Now, based off the patterns that I've observed so far with a lot of people that I talk to, is that there's usually some major chapters in people's lives where they end up into, say, like the coaching space, and they come from a different background altogether. Our last guest, for instance, was a news broadcaster, and then he took that knowledge and leveraged it into a media and corporate storytelling position. So, there's a paper trail, but there's definitely been some shifts. So what has kept you in the industry for so long? Is it your passion? Is it just the universe is telling you this is where you got to be?
Yeah, it's interesting because growing up, like even when in my late teens and early 20s, I didn't really like my body. And I'm quite tall, and I was actually thin, like still, I'm thin. And I just didn't really like my body. And one day someone said to me, why don't you go to the gym and, train and put on muscle? The concept of going to the gym wasn't really like, I wasn't really drawn to it, but I thought I will go. And I'm always been a kind of person to ask questions. So it was really daunting walking in for the first time. But I chose a gym that was not so busy, just a sort of a quiet little, gym in the suburbs. And I went and I just started to ask questions, of the trainers there, how should I train? And back then we used to have fitness instructors. These days it's personal trainers and you pay for PT one-on-one. But back then we had fitness instructors that would walk the floor and you could ask questions. So I would just ask questions about different machines and got started talking to, a personal trainer. And he said that, if you train in a certain way, you can change the shape of your body. So I did that for years. And it's amazing that honestly, if you train in a different way, in a certain way, you can change the shape of your body. So it just became an intrinsic thing because I noticed the difference that when I didn't go to the gym, and how I felt, not only physically, but mentally. So I started out not sort of liking my own body. And that's how I sort of got into the industry. And it just intrigued me how you can adapt and change your physical shape. But then what happened, I decided to become a personal trainer and teach what I was learning myself in the gym. But after so many years, I thought, why is it that some clients will get results and others weren't? And I thought, oh, it's the food, okay, because they all say 80% of it's, nutrition. So I became a food coach and thought I would coach people as well on the food because I was also asking questions and learning more and more about food. But then, years and years go by and I thought, still, why is it that two people very similar, one will get results, one wouldn't? And it came down to mindset. And ultimately, mindset should be first and everything else follows because I always say, get your mind right and your body will follow. But I sort of did it in reverse. I did the physical side, then the food side, and then the mindset. And as this was in my, say, late teens, early 20s. And then as the years went by, I thought, I need to create this as part of my career because, and someone said to me one day, I was a professional athlete, and I said, you have the ideal, honestly, the ideal life. You're training, you have an amazing physique, you get taught about nutrition, mindset, and you get paid really well. And he said, well, why don't you find what you like doing and make it your job? And I was working in a sales job, corporate back then, working crazy ass hours and not in the I was working in the telecommunications industry. And I thought, okay, well, I like fitness, why don't I make it my job? So I started to work for Women's Health and Fitness magazine. And I did that for 3-4 years, and then I went into a golfing magazine. It was all sort of sports or fitness related magazines. And what I found, Joseph, was that so many people all had the same problem. Everyone thinks they're unique, but if it's the same problem, we all want to look and feel good. And we're all sort of scrambling on ways on how to do it. Is it diet? Is it exercise? Is it, so over the years, I guess I was naturally drawn to it because of my own personal challenges. And then I wanted to create it as a job. And then eventually, I created my own online website and my online course. And I started to, I was still training people on the side as a personal trainer and doing food coaching. And then I thought, this is all about mindset. This has got really, 10-20% of it is exercise and physical exercise. I've got to coach women on how to change the way they think, because that's when you get results. Was I drawn to it? Yeah, I think a lot of people, you start with yourself and then you want to extend outwards and help others. So that was a long answer, but it's
Well, that's what I mean, that's my goal. I want to make sure that the answers are nice and substantive. It gives me more to draw from. And the first thing that sticks out in my mind, just to relate to your experience as well, is that I'm not immune from looking at my own body and wishing things were different. I find it's a matter of relativity. Like when I'm just looking at myself in the mirror, I go, oh, you know what? Actually, it's not bad. But then I'd be wandering down the hallway in my apartment, and one of my neighbors was bedridden due to her condition, and she had a bit of a habit of calling 911. So sometimes the paramedics would show up, sometimes the firefighters would show up, and like the paramedics and the firefighters, you would think that they were Greek statues come to life. These people are chiseled to perfection, and then I'm here 5'9", thinking like, all right, well,
yeah.
save some for the rest of us. Why don't you? So like, I would come back to my room and think, man, okay. Some people really look well physically. So I think a person's experience and what we're exposed to relative to our own self exposure does have a pretty significant impact on
Yeah.
how we view ourselves. What would you say were some of the, I guess, the influences or some of the causes or things that compelled you to have that reflection on your own form?
I guess it's just how I felt. I just felt all my life I've always had really good looking friends that just seem to have naturally had that grey body and didn't really have to work for it. So it's just that comparison syndrome that a lot of people, I deal with women, mostly work with women. We just have this comparison thing. We're always comparing ourselves to others. And this was way before social media. Since social media, it's way worse now. But I just wanted to feel differently. And I thought that if I changed the shape of my body from exercise and eating right, that I would feel better, but I didn't. It wasn't until I guess in my early 30s that I thought, no, you can look amazing. And although I had really, good looking friends, and even later on in life, they were models, like professional models, and they had the package, but they were so unhappy. Right. And we think
Mm-hmm.
that it's better, the grass is greener on the other side, but it's actually not. This all just comes down to mindset, whether it's business, whether it's your health. Life is all about, mastering your mind. And I didn't realize that back in my 20s. It's not until after all the study and the personal development that I've done and the gurus that I've followed and the courses that I've done and so many hours and money invested into really understanding how the mind works, that,
Mm-hmm.
this stuff should be taught in schools. It's not. And yeah, we should be taught how to play life. And we only get
Mm-hmm.
one shot. So yeah.
I agree with you, and not to go off on a rant of my own volition, but there's a lot of things that I was not taught in school. I was kind of shocked. Like I didn't like just speaking very very briefly about finances, for instance. We weren't taught a gosh darn thing in school about finances. I didn't realize until 25 that a savings account generates interest. 25 years old enough to go to war, and I didn't know that. I just thought that the point of a bank was so that your money doesn't hide under the bed, so that somebody breaks in and takes all your money. That was my extent of my financial literacy. So I completely agree that there's a lot of things that schools aren't covering that I'd like to see them cover. So mindset is a huge thing that I want to talk about, and I'm almost ready to get there, but there's a couple of other small curiosities that I wanted to touch on first. And one of them, this does come from my personal experience too, in terms of how our bodies can be shaped through our activity and through our exercise. And something that never quite clicked in my mind was the idea of going to work out at the gym as the activity. Whereas I guess I always looked at exercise as more of a byproduct of something that I really want to do. So for instance, if I like going for walks, or I like swimming, or I've even like playing with Nerf guns or paintball, our physical form will contour to that in order to better meet the needs of these activities. So it's a very different thing to get into wrestling or to get into boxing or combat sports versus football versus swimming versus golf, which takes a surprising amount of endurance because you're out there for a long time and you have to maintain form. So for you, were you drawn to exercise for the sake of exercise? Was it a for you really that means to the end, or what's been your experience with, I guess, more of just that raw, direct focus on just working out in its most fundamental form?
For me, back then, it was vanity. I just wanted to look good. My friends look good. I wanted to look good too. It was purely just vanity. I mean, it's not until later in life you don't care so much about that. But yeah, back then in my early 20s, I was going out partying and I just wanted to look good. And that was my focus. Health, I didn't even care about. It was just to look good. But from going repetitively to the gym and then being curious about it, asking questions, and I love learning. I didn't realize it back then, but I love asking questions. I love learning. And then it just becomes an intrinsic thing, because when you stop going to the gym and you stop eating well, you feel like crap. Excuse my French. You feel like crap. Now, does it mean that as health coaches, we are 100%, perfect and we eat carrot sticks all day? Absolutely not. I eat chocolate every day. Right. And it's funny, I saw my neighbor yesterday. I was walking out and he said, "You're always walking, you're always exercising." And I said, "Yeah, but I eat a lot. And that's why I exercise, so that I can eat a lot and what I want." Does that make sense? So instead of restricting myself in the food and trying to stay on a diet, right, I eat what I want, but I work it off. So I kind of have this balance. Within reason. It's not like I go and eat cream cakes. So it's a vanity thing. That's what that if I want to get really raw, I just want it to look hot with like my friends back then. And then it just became something that's just natural to me that, you know, it's not, if I didn't go to the gym, it affected me mentally, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I needed the gym. They say exercise is the best form of an antidepressant. And I didn't realize it back then. But if I don't work out, it's like I get a twitch. I need
Mm-hmm.
to work out. I need to expend that energy and just sweat. There's nothing better than sweating, and really getting rid of all the gunk that's in you. So yeah, it's vanity, and then it just became intrinsic. And that's the hardest thing, I think, for a lot of people to get started because they think, oh, it's so hard. Um, but when we get into it, it's your compelling reason why, and all those things around mindset that is going to be your driver. Which I'll wait until you ask me those questions. But yeah, it's you have to want it though. I wanted to look better. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to look better, and I didn't know how to do it. But I just thought I would start. And thank God someone said to me, why don't you go to the gym and um, you know, train and do weights. And I'm like, well, how can that? I thought people go to the gym to do cardio. Yeah, it's an interesting journey. I think life forces you in a way to learn, and everyone has, I was single then, and I'm single now. And I have had people say you're lucky because you have the time. But if you honestly, oh my goodness, so busy with the things they want to do or have done over the years and projects, I don't get a spare second, because I fill my days, which well, I'm sure we'll get into with, but things that it's choices. It's all choices. I wanted to look better, and that's what was my main priority. And thank God it became an intrinsic thing.
So with that, let's definitely jump into the mindset portion of this. And as I mentioned, it does come up a lot, but I can't, for the life of me, remember a conversation where I really dug in right from the organic root of what mindset is. So can you take me through the point where you became conscious of mindset and how you would describe what mindset even is in
Yeah,
2023?
I love that. I love this question because
Thank you.
when ladies book on a call with me, they might ask. I ask them a few questions, and one of them is around mindset. And when I jump on a call, I say, "Well, tell me." Well, they say to me, "I know that I've tried all the diets under the sun, but I need to change my mindset." And I said, "Well, tell me what do you think is mindset?" And they say, "I just can't stick to my plan. I don't have the willpower." So a lot of people think mindset is like this strong willpower, but for me, I found mindset is your energy. So back in my early 30s, I realized one day that I couldn't live every day in the current mindset that I had. So in order for me to change my mindset, what I had to do was change my thinking, change my energy, change my like really shift gears. If so, mindset for me is an energy or an attitude that you have towards something. If you have this attitude, oh, I've got to lose weight, it's hard, it means I have to go to the gym, eat carrot sticks, and you think of it in a negative way, well, that's what you're going to get. So mindset is your attitude towards it, the energy that you're putting towards it. So mindset is not about willpower. It's like, all right, drawing a line in the sand, knowing where you are right now, getting really raw with, where am I at and why am I here? How did I get to this point? And then shifting into a different gear, because you need to be different to be different. You can't be the same person and expect a different result. So mindset really is thinking different to create a different action, you see? And I was thinking in a negative way, and I'm still drawn to that sometimes on a daily basis. Like I don't wake up in the morning going, woohoo, life's great. I honestly don't. I'm hand on heart. I wake up thinking, before I'm conscious, thinking about all the things I need to do, and oh my God. And then I realize that I'm conscious and think, no, I'm not going to think that way. I'm going to shift into the gear, the energy that I want to be. And I think it comes down to our upbringing. And, I had a European upbringing, nothing against my parents at all, but it was a European upbringing, upbringing. And, where things, I was taught things were hard and you've got to work hard for this. And,
Mm-hmm.
all that sort of, European parents sometimes can really dump a lot of stuff on you, right? And, yeah, and it's,
I'm Italian on both sides, so
there you go.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like this guilt, this heavy cloud. And I thought, I can't live like that. I need to change it. I need to think differently. But then in doing that comes more challenges because you start to tolerate less bad behavior from people, from friends. So it's challenges in everything. And I guess when you learn that mindset is there, it's the obstacles are the way. You're always going to have obstacles. And when you learn to deflect those obstacles or turn them into opportunities, it's just your attitude and energy towards something. And I'm not sure that that was really clear at all, but we get one shot at life. We've got two choices. We can sit here and be a sad sack and think, everything's going wrong in my life, or we can, pull ourselves out of it. And I understand it's hard because when you're really low, it's really hard to climb out of it. I understand because I've been there, many, many times. It's hard to climb out, but you just got to start with one small thing. And if that means listen to a podcast like this, read a personal development book, or even just getting yourself out of bed onto the couch and having a nice cup of tea, like just take one little step to get your mind in a way that it's going to be facing forward, not back. So it's thinking. It all comes down to what's between the ears. It's just our thoughts. And when women contact me, they're desperate. They're in that state of desperation. They want to change. They go, I need to change
Mm-hmm.
my mindset, but I need to get them shifting into a mindset that this is doable. This is going to be enjoyable. Just follow the guidance. You'll get the result.
Would you say it's a pretty cohesive that most of the women who reach out to you are in that state, or do you also experience clients who are trying to come at it a little more proactively? Maybe they've seen some of their own friends or family go through this and they're thinking this could happen to me too. I would like to get ahead of this.
Yeah, I don't think what a lot of women realize, a lot of this is sort of tapping into the woo woo. Okay, tapping into that there is a
Well, I love woo woo, so I'm more
yeah,
than happy to go there.
yeah, I love woo woo as well. And when I start to talk to people about your conscious mind and subconscious mind, and they're like, "What?" So, and it's interesting because when I don't work with everyone, I'm not the coach for everyone, and I don't claim to be. I'm quite straightforward. I'm in my approach when it comes to coaching, and you have to have done some form of personal development or a little bit of woo woo, because you have to understand that what's keeping you stuck is not your food. It's not, I mean, to a certain degree, if you're eating hamburgers and donuts, sure, but you have to be willing and open to think in a different way. And if you haven't done any personal development, then I'm not the coach for you. There's plenty of things online that you can start to learn. But when you do sort of tap into a little bit of personal development and understand that, yeah, I can maybe think in a different way if I'm guided in how to do that. I can figure out what do I really want and why do I really want it. And maybe I can use my mind to start to visualize when negative thoughts come up, be conscious of them and then tell them to bugger off and reshape and reframe that new thought. That takes work. I remember being on a podcast and the girl said that was interviewing me said, yeah, she does that work. She said, but it's really tiring. And I understand it is tiring, but that's where the work is. The work, you're going to get results from doing the work when it's tiring and hard. You don't get the results when it's easy. And a lot of people don't want to do the hard work. This is bloody hard work. The amount of hours and I guess walking that I've done, the amount of hours at the gym, the amount of hours I've thought about my food, the amount of hours I've put into mindset, it's a lot of work and it's not for everyone. I get it genetically. Some people are just born with a body that, they can sort of eat what they want to a certain point. But I guarantee you, when you get to your 40s, 50s, I'm in my mid 50s now, it's not so easy. Things will change. It's all encompassing, Joseph. It's just all encompassing. And women, yeah, have to have done some sort of personal development. And if you're listening to this and you haven't, I encourage you to do Go and do a bit of woo woo. It'll change your life. That's what's the life changing bit. You get your head right, your body follows. Start to think differently. Think forward, not back.
One point that I would like to add into this as well is to fully impart just how difficult this work can and will be, because I've made this case on the show a few times, is that our initial experiences during the early part of our lives, as we both alluded to with our European upbringing, is those imprints are early in our life, and they're some of the hardest imprints to shake off because it's much more potent the closer you are to that malleable state. I've always been transparent about putting myself on the spot on this content, and so like I face negative thoughts, intrusive thoughts, and they get pretty dark. The work that it takes to start to, within my own mind, which is a mix of physical and mental, to think differently, is an ongoing thing, and it gets frustrating and it gets tiring to feel like I'm not making progress. And the progress is tangential. It's incremental. It comes in 0.0001 points. But you got to remember that like people are dealing with trauma and experience and emotional issues that are so prevalent in our lives at such an early age and can go on and on and on, that we build up the habit for it. We build up that muscle memory for it. That's just what our body is used to. So it takes all the effort in the world to start working some of that off.
100%. And I get it as well, because I'm someone that has, suffered anxiety and depression all my life. And I have, always told myself I don't want to go on antidepressants. And, each to their own. But I didn't want that for myself. Hence why I chose the exercise path. Because you do feel better, as we know, when you exercise, but it's hard work getting to the gym. Back then I used to do at least 4 times a week at the gym. Now I don't. I do Pilates and a bit different, but when you're in that dark place, it's really hard. And like you said, the incremental changes, but you have to realize that. And what I keep telling myself when I'm in that dark place, because it still happens sometimes, and it might take 1 or 2 days to get out of it. Sometimes it might take weeks. Right. And you put kind of this mask onto the world. But really, when I'm in that place, I just keep affirming to myself that this is just temporary. This will pass. What can I do? And I have this little Post-it note here. It just sits here. How can I? That's what it says. How can I? Because I'm always asking myself, how can I get out of this? What do I need to do to get myself from where I am right now just to the next step, just to feel that little bit better? And I keep coming back to personal development or podcasts. There's so many different podcasts that I listen to, and books and things, that audio books from, just listening to Audible, just to start to sink into the subconscious mind new thoughts. So we are pre-programmed, but we honestly get one shot at life. We're all going to die. I know that might sound morbid, but we're all going to die. We're not here to suffer, and no one is coming to save us. No, not your partner, not your children. When it's just you alone with your thoughts at night, when you put your head on the pillow, no one is going to save you from those thoughts. You have to save yourself. And you can be in a relationship that's a great relationship and have a great family life and great kids. But if you're not happy in yourself, like, you have to save yourself. You have to start thinking about what you're thinking about and start to change what you're thinking so that you vibrate a different energy and create a different action. You have to do that work. Is it easy? No. And a lot of people then resort to alcohol. A lot of my women that I speak to resort to alcohol just to take that edge off, or use some, antidepressants or whatever. I get this trauma. People have gone through so much trauma in their past that I haven't experienced. And, there's a purpose for antidepressants. I get that. It's just, I don't know, I just want to live a clean, free life, but I want to be in control of my mind, not be on autopilot. I want to control my thoughts. And I literally, when I get up, and I am conscious, I say to the universe, higher power, whatever, show me how good today can be. Like, seriously, show me signs. But I'm challenged every day with people, with circumstances, and it's how I react to that. Am I perfect? No. Sometimes I fly off the handle and I think, okay, I gave my power over to someone. But at the end of the day, then I think, well, then I'm teaching them, because in a way, life sometimes is not a straight line, and not everyone you're going to deal with is going to be rosy and happy. And I'm a stickler for customer service. Like if you buy something, you want to get that service. So I'm really, and it's something I probably still need to deal with, even at this being at 55. It triggers me when you buy something and you don't get the service, or someone says they're going to do something and they don't have that integrity. Basically, you've got to learn to understand yourself. No one's coming to save you. Get to know yourself, get to know your thoughts. What are you thinking? Is it helping you go forward, or are you thinking backwards all the time? Because if you're thinking backwards, you're depressed. If you're thinking forward, you're anxious. But it's good to have a good vision forward. But what are you thinking? Is it helping you? How can I change it? What can I do to feel better? Because we all want to feel good. Women think they want to lose weight to look good, but it's the feeling that we want from losing weight.
I wanted to touch on what you said about customer service, because I had worked in a retail sales position for a couple of years, and I will say that they trained very well to really maximize the output of their employees, but the turnover rate was pretty high because incentives were low. But ever since then, it did make me see it kind of the way that you're seeing it, which is I'm not asking to be, fanned for what if I feel hot, or be fed grapes while I sit on the throne, but I want people to at least say hi when I enter a store. I want there to at least be some semblance of appreciation for the business that I'm willing to offer somebody. So it's grinding my gears a little bit too, to not receive something that I myself have done and that I would be willing to do. And in fact, I've actually had other roles where I'm providing exemplary customer service, and management is actually asking me to dial it back because we need you to move those boxers, and there's other more important things to do too. I'm like, what could be more important than servicing the customer? They got to be happy. They got to come back. Do you realize they can just order this online? Like, we got to fight to keep these people here.
Oh, Joseph, you nailed it 100%. Without a business, you don't have a business if you don't have customers. And that's the one that, we talk about mindset, and I might sound like I'm digressing, but I'll come back to it. We talk about when you do the mindset work and you start to understand yourself and you raise your own standards, okay? The downside to that is that I find people disappoint me because I expect a certain standard from them. And I walked into a store the other day and I asked the girl a question and she didn't quite hear me. And the way she screwed up her face and said, sorry, and I said to her, why are you talking to me like that? And she said, again, repeated. And I said, this is so unnecessary. Why are you asking? And she totally said, I'm not even serving you. And the next guy had to serve me. And I thought the customer service and the way the world is at the moment, I know I'm sounding negative and cynical, but people are just so dismissive. People are just getting really rude. And I just find it unacceptable. And that's the downside to doing the mindset work, because you have certain standards that you expect from other people and they're not at the sort of same level. Not that I'm any better than anyone else, but so that's kind of where you then, as you develop mentally in the mind, you'll find that certain people will drop off your life, certain friends.
Yep.
You just think differently. You want better for yourself. Bringing it back to customer service. Yeah, some of it's appalling out there. We can't change the world, but we can change who we spend our time with. And I know we need to go into stores and buy things. Honestly, I could talk hours. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. There's no shortage of stories. Like I'm just cliff noting this one just because I went on vacation with my partner to Niagara Falls, and something was up with our credit card. It wasn't taking purchases,
Yeah.
and I was like given the runaround for about 3 hours, calling back like multiple times before someone finally told me that the credit card was shut down due to a misunderstanding, which, granted, largely my fault, but the tone that the person took was just so aggravating.
Yeah.
And I'm on this very rare opportunity to actually relax, and just the confluence of those two things, I just I lost it. And then now I use a different credit card service. So I agree with you. I think customer service is one indicator that our perception of how we should be treated and how we should be treated others is there, because but it's also there in how we deal with our family, how we deal with coworkers, what kind of clients do we want to source, what kind of friends do we want to keep. And it can be upsetting because I know I've lost quite a few friends over the years, but it's always been an indicator of my own growth and my own ability to say I can't accept this kind of behavior anymore. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yes. You talk in my language. Sorry to interrupt. I love this, Joseph, because it's such a big topic. Because, and women don't realize that their external environment has a massive impact on their internal environment. And people think that I've let friends go and I've had hard conversations with them, and you think it's easy. It's hard. It's hard letting someone go, but you just get to a point in your life that you do not want to tolerate any more bad behavior from anyone. And that could just be like, I had one friend who was continually over the last 30 years, not 5 minutes late, be half an hour, an hour late to and then just expect, and I used to say, you're late again, and it's like, oh, sorry, for whatever reason. Little things, I just do not tolerate it anymore. And it's not because, like I said, I don't think I'm any better than anyone else. We are all equal, but life, we get one shot at it. Why would I waste my time with that kind of thing? So you end up with less people in your life, but it's peaceful. You just have more.
Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, as you end up with this big friend circle of friends, I think, when you're younger, and as you get small, as you get older, that just becomes smaller. You really cherish your time. Time to me is one of my highest values. Like, one part of when I'm working with women, we get really clear on your values, and time. People that waste it, like 3 hours on a call with your credit card, that's just bad service. But it's infuriating, but what concerns me is how it triggers me, because I can get so angry by it. And it's something that I still work on this day. Like, why am I triggered? Because I just find it gets worse, as life goes on. Anyway, we keep going on. We're not here to talk about customer service, but
Yeah. I wanted to touch on something else just in the discussion between our physical control, our mental control, but also trying to listen and be receptive to the higher powers, whether that's the universe or God. And what I'd like to hear from you is, where do you feel comfortable relinquishing control and allowing the universe to point things to you? And how do you know you're being given those signs?
Oh, I love this question, because at
Thank you.
times I do relinquish control, and other times I try and control it again. And of late, I'm just relinquishing control. The amount of things sometimes in life, you just feel like you're just getting pounded by a stick over and over and over again sometimes. And it gets to a point where you think, okay, universe, or God, how much are you going to give me? I'm just giving you full control. I really am and especially at this point in my time in my life, there's quite a few things going on. I truly believe that we are guided by a higher power. I really do. When I try and control it, my ego gets in the way. When I let go, everything falls into place, how it's meant to be. It really is more of a peaceful way of living when you just relinquish control.
I'd like to share this with you. I haven't shared this on the program yet, just because it hasn't really come up in context. But we're recording this on August 15th, and at the end of the month, I'm going to be moving in with my partner's mother. Her husband and my partner's father passed away just over a month ago, and I would never in a million years have wished for him to pass the way he did, because he still should have had some more time on this planet. But what I also gleamed from the signs that I was receiving from God was this was also the opportunity that I was waiting for, because Toronto, way too gosh darn expensive. No one can survive here. No one, like, how are people going out? How are people living? We have no idea. It's a mystery to us. So the ability to be in a home setting where, like, okay, now I can actually have some breathing room with what I earned. I can invest in my business. I can start growing again, as opposed to the last 3 years, which for me has been characterized by just flailing and treading water. You lose leverage. You don't get the kind of bargaining power that you would if you didn't have to worry about eating.
Yeah.
So I come to it from a place of sorrow and grief, and saying I would never have asked for this if I knew this was the cost. But now that I've been given the gift of some of my freedom back, all I feel is that gratitude. And now I have to make good and do right by the passing of my partner's father. So
Yeah.
that's, to me, is an example of like,
Yes.
this is as clear as a sign as it's going to get. It does not get any clearer than this. And God in the universe, you'll get what you intend, but it's probably not going to manifest the way you thought it was going to manifest.
100%. You're 100% right. It's amazing. Yeah, it's interesting that we're both sort of connecting at this point when I have a little bit of turmoil in my life as well. And I never would have thought that I'd get to this position with a certain, with certain things. And I have some other property and stuff that, I need to anyway, sell back to my sister and whatever. And it's like, I'm just guided. This is all meant to be, because I'm thinking in my future, you know, I live beachside. I've worked hard for where I live, but I may not stay here. I may move interstate. And I just have to trust that God, universe is just you're just guiding me in that way. This is just the way it's meant to be. And it's almost like there's a hand on your back pushing you in a way, because there's no
Mm-hmm.
other way out. You just have to trust the process. It's interesting when you let go of that control, which is hard to do. Just go with the flow. Go with the flow. But every day it's a mindset thing to remind yourself to just go with that flow and just trust in God, universe, that you are being guided in the right way, whatever's meant for you. Because the way you think it's going to work out, it doesn't work out like that.
And there's more than enough people on the planet who don't believe that. So for everybody who does believe, God definitely has the bandwidth to assist. Because if God may or may not be assisting the people who don't believe, or who aren't spiritually awakened but are still being put in place.
Yeah.
But I definitely think you definitely get more of that connection, more of that understanding, and more of that peace of mind by, at the very least, being open to what it is that the universe has in store for you. With that, I wanted to also get a little bit of a maybe of an example or two of some of the some of the mindset shifts that you've experienced as a coach. So if you want to protect the names and anonymity, of course, I totally respect that. But I would really like to hear about what were some of the truly resonant transformations that you've been able to provide the services to.
You know what I love? Women contact me because they want to lose weight. But after working with them for 16 or 20, sessions, which could span over a 6 or 9 month period, not only have they it takes around week 5, week 6 for them to kind of really, really share what's going on in their life. Because when they contact me, they, ask them the question, do you have a supportive entourage? Whether it's your husband, your kids, your friends, and they all say, oh yes, my husband's really supportive, or my friends are really supportive. But you would get into kind of week 5, week 6, and then we identify that they really don't even like their husband, don't even like their partner, don't even like their job, honestly. And so what happens is, I'm not saying they leave their partners in the end, but they really start to wake up, and then they start to develop this inner grit, this inner resilience that then they, week 9 or 10, they sort of share with me that they've always wanted to start this side business. So then I start to help them with their business. And from when you see them transform, remember, they're coming to me to lose weight, right? So we get into, food, and I help them literally meal by meal, take take this out, put an egg in, whatever. I help them with the food side and the exercise portion. But it's that mindset of really understanding, what do you want? Let's, unpack where you're at now. What do you want? And let's bridge that gap. So from seeing them from where they start to where they finish, they're like a totally different person. They've transformed their health, or they're not, maybe sometimes not quite at their end goal, because some women need to lose 20, 30, 40 pounds. You can't do it fast. It has to be slow and steady. I'm not here for fad diets, quick fix. It doesn't work, right? You're building new habits. You're building a new lifestyle. You're building a new you, mentally and physically, mind, body. And then at the end of that time of working together, they've, really transformed mentally who they are, what they want. They've started businesses. They're having better relationships with their partner, or they've got plans in place to leave their partner because they're stronger women. And that's what I love. I really teach women. They do the work, but I teach them how to develop a backbone. I find that a lot of women don't have a backbone. I'm being completely honest. Their partner does all the finances. Their partner make decisions for them. I teach them how to just own their own life, because no one's coming to save you. If your partner, touch wood, passed away, your partner left, some women don't even been with women where their partners have left them to become um, a woman, right? They're transitioning. They had no idea. This is during the time working together. So you don't know what life's going to throw you in the future. So learn to develop and grit and resilience and strength and that backbone to be yourself, stand up for yourself. So just it's that whole mental strength that I love. The food and the exercise is actually the easy part, Joseph.
Well, you know what I would like to say, speaking as a man too, is that I don't want a passive or a submissive woman as a partner,
Mm.
because that doesn't help me with my confidence. If I don't feel like my partner is saying her piece, or is sharing her opinion, or is willing to make decisions, all of which, by the way, my partner is willing to do, then I would just have this feeling that like I'm just in control of everything all the time, which not only is an extra burden for me, but it's also, it's hard to feel happy with the idea that someone was just more, I don't know, coerced or compelled to be a part of this, rather than coming from a place of a genuine connection and want to become closer. So, you know, it's helpful for men too. The women that we want to share our lives with are have that grit and have that resilience to them.
And I feel for women because, they get married, they have kids, they work, they've got a lot on, and they don't really have the space to think about it. So most of the women I work with, I mean, my youngest has been 21 and my oldest was 74, a lady in New York. And it's not until the kids are older or that they kind of get this sort of space to start to think about, or something like a pandemic where they have to sort of sit with themselves to understand, what am I doing with my life? Or so, years can go by before you even realize the situation that you're in. At the end of the day, I think everyone wants the best for each other, but I think sometimes people do come together in a marriage that they haven't really fully developed as people themselves, and thinking that if they go into a partnership that the other person's going to fix them. It doesn't work like that. And then 10, 20 years goes past, you have some kids, and then you realize, oh my God, I don't really like my husband, or don't really like my partner, and and I've put on 20 pounds, how do I fix this? Then they call someone like a coach thinking that the weight loss is going to fix them, but it's not until we unpack it all. So life's an interesting journey, and I think we can kind of be on autopilot and cruise through life to a certain degree, but one day you've got to wake up and go, what am I doing? Am I happy? Yes, no. What are the steps I'm going to take? And this is where a coach can help. But you've got to find the right coach. Some people listening to me may think, oh God, she's not the coach. She wouldn't be the right person for me. But you need to find someone that you resonate with, reach out to them, ask for help, always be asking questions, be curious about life. How can I get better? Ask the universe, ask God, show me, how can I be better? What's the next step for me? And just trust and be guided and go with that little intuition or that little premonition that you get.
For those of you who may feel like they need to look into a different coach, feel free to check our archive of other episodes of the Impactful Coaching Podcast. I'm sure someone will, you know what I mean? Just, hey, check out the other episodes. Notes to producers, we should really put like an archival page just so that we can help start connecting people to coaches. Okay. Metatextual part of that over. So one of the things that I also wanted to hear about just in helping with clients is, I think there's a particular challenge in terms of reinforcement, positive reinforcement, but also the necessary consequences. Like if a client is not meeting an outlined goal, or you're realizing that the issues that you were supposed to work on have been more prevalent, but they haven't been identified. So how do you handle with people who are not necessarily keeping up with their responsibilities to the plan? Is it about like maybe we missed something, or we need to change the plan, or you need to give some tough love? How do you handle stuff like that?
Yeah, great question again. I love it. But then we
Thank you.
really need to revisit, why did they contact me in the beginning? And I asked them on the first
Right
call,
back from the beginning.
yeah,
Okay.
why did you contact me today, and make an appointment? Why didn't you contact me a week ago, a month ago, 6 months ago? What was it that shifted in your mind for you to go, right, I'm going to reach out to a coach? So remember why you started this in the beginning. So we need to go back and create that compelling reason why, because that's what's going to get your butt off the couch. And I'll give you some reasons. Once I dig in with, some of my clients, what, why they want to create this change, it's always about 7 layers deep. The first layer will be, oh, I just want to feel good, or I want to get into my clothes. And I say, well, why do you want to get into your clothes? Why do you want to feel good? Oh, because I don't really want to, buy a new wardrobe. Why don't you want to buy a new wardrobe? Oh, it's because I don't really have the money. Why don't you have the money? It's because I'm in a job that I hate. Why are you in a job that you hate? Oh, because I don't have the skill, or, do you see what I mean? I'm digging, digging, digging. And when we get to that real root cause, why they want to create change, some of the women, one woman was so scared she was going to die because her sister died young. Another woman was going into a practice, there were two lawyers. She had to be thinner than her lawyer partner. It was just so important to her. And another lady that was living in Dubai, she wanted her friends' husbands to think she was hot when they were sitting by the pool. Not because she wanted to flirt with them, but that was validation to her that she had a great body. It's interesting, people's reasons why. I had one lady who was traveling all around Australia, business travel. When she walked into the Qantas lounge, rocking her denim jeans with her white shirt and her boots, these were her words, she wanted businessmen to turn heads and look at her. That would make her feel good, because she didn't feel good. Everyone has their own reasons. It doesn't matter what it is. For me, when I was younger, I just wanted to look hot like my hot friends, right? It doesn't matter what it is, but when you get really raw and get the compelling reason, keep going back to that. That's why you started, and imprint that in your mind. This is why I started. This is why it's important to me. And for some women as well who have children, they want to live a long life for their kids. They don't want their little son or daughter saying, "Mummy's fat." Right? This happens a lot. They want to get off the alcohol. Like, there's many, many reasons. So when they're not sticking to their goals, we just go back to that real raw reason, because that's your motivator, And then maybe it's because what we're working, your meal plan, maybe you don't like what's in your meal plan. Like, everything is fixable. Everything has a solution. And you just have to ask, well, how can I change it? How can I get better at this? And just wait and listen for the answers. Maybe the gym is not for you. I mean, weight training definitely is going to shape your body, but maybe you just really, really dislike the gym. So it's just breaking it down into smaller micro reasons and getting really raw, and then flipping that and working on little steps to climb back out. So that's where I work with women, really micro. There's a lot of coaches out there who will give meal plans and things like that. And sometimes it works for people. I don't know, I'm just a little bit different. I really, really dig into your life and understand you as a person. I take my hat off and put it onto your head and really understand what goes on in your mind. And we unpack it and then pack it back into an order that's going to work for you. And we have, I'm not here to sell my coaching. I'm just saying this is how I work with women.
Oh no, feel free. No, that actually is part of it.
Well, they have walkie-talkie access to me. It's like an app. It's free. It's not, it's just a free app where you can walkie-talkie me. You just hold down the button, ask me a question, tell me how you're feeling. You could be at the supermarket and want to check out a label, send it to me. I really work closely. It's that I'm literally kind of in your pocket to really help you on those days where it's not easy. Not on the days where it's easy. I'm still there for you, but life is not one straight line, it's up and down. So when people are off track, tell me, get on the walkie-talkie, tell me what you're thinking, what are you feeling, do we need to change your thought, and there just becomes a new habit to start to do that. Because like I said, I don't wake up every morning feeling fantastic. Most days I wake up thinking I hate the world, but I flip it into, no, I'm not going to live like that, in that mindset. I'm going to live in this mindset. Show me, universe, how great today can be. Does that make sense, or am I sounding like a crazy lady?
Am I allowed to say a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, maybe?
No, that's all good.
The walkie-talkie thing sounds kind of interesting. So you say it's an app. So is it a delayed message where you'll get the message when you get it, or is it really like happening live in the moment. Like any minute now, someone might walkie-talkie you and ask you a question.
Absolutely, live, instant, hold the button down, talk to me, and then it'll beep me straight away. Now, because of the time zone, I may not get back to you straight away. But generally, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
my it's called Voxer. It just goes off all the time.
Interesting. I just never heard of that app before, but well, I think it's a great way to put their mind at ease too. And I think if I just put myself in the shoes of the client for a second, I think having it there is also a way to create this form of positive tension where it's like, I don't want to rely on this as a crutch. I don't even want to call it a crutch. This is something where maybe I dial her up, but maybe if I can just handle this one on my own. So knowing that I didn't take that opportunity, to me might be positive reinforcement. So it works when it's not working as well as when it actually is
That
working. Conversely, over reliance on it can end up becoming more
It's
problematic.
comforting knowing it's there. And a lot of women initially they
Yep.
use it a lot to contact me, and then they don't because they would just think, do what would Ireene do, And I empower them to just create their own decision in the end. You see? So, but knowing that I'm there, that they can literally just push a button and ask me a question is just comforting. But in the end, they make their own decision. As a coach, I don't tell people what to do, I guide them. And as we work together, you create these aha moments, right? So it's just that extra level of support. I I wish I had this coaching program available to me when I was younger, not for weight loss, but more from a mindset point of view. Someone that I can just go, you know what, I'm having a really crappy day today. And how am I going to dig myself out? And then we just go back and forth a little bit on Voxer, the app, about the situation. And I get them to start to think in a different way. And then yeah, cool. Okay, now I feel better. And they go on about their day.
And one of the long-standing themes that I found has developed on this program, not just with this episode, but overall, is the idea that behavior is a symptom of something. So people coming in having an issue with one thing, and in reality, that issue is just an indicator of something deeper going on. And so I appreciate being able to explore that in different ways and talking to different people, health and mindset for today, but anxiety, people who are specifically public speaking coaches, where a lot of that nervousness comes from. So there's a lot of different angles that the issue is being addressed at. And likewise, the success that I hear from clients has always been a matter of really being able to dig in and create this new influence from within that prevails over a lot of the negativity and the intrusive thoughts that have been there prior to. So with that, though, we actually hit the hour mark. So I do got to start wrapping this up. But I just want to ask you a couple more stuff just for the fun of it. This is totally a fluff question, but it's actually pretty relevant here. What do you eat for breakfast, lunch,
I
and
love
dinner?
it. It's funny. To lose weight, what I find most people don't eat enough protein. And if you don't know what proteins are, Google them or learn what they are, like chicken, meat, fish, the standard ones, nuts, etc. So if you need to have 1 gram of protein per 1 kilo body weight, which is 2.2 pounds in your world, figure out how much protein you
Yep.
need to have per day, and then divide that by 5 or 6, because you should be eating every 2 to 3 hours. So for breakfast, if you think, all right, what am I going to have that's protein? So every morning I have the same thing. I have pretty much half a cup of quick cut oats. So oats are, not the rolled round oats, they're quick cut, they're kind of chopped up. Half a cup of raw oats with a scoop of protein powder. Now, protein powder is the easy thing to go to, and I highly recommend everyone have a vanilla protein powder in their cupboard, because it's easy to top up your protein. Because remember, you need to have that daily recommended amount of protein every day to keep your muscle mass that you've got. Half a cup of quick cut oats, scoop of protein powder, and some pumpkin seeds or pepitas, because they're high in magnesium. This sounds really hard, but it's not. I've actually got little containers on my bench, and I have a little scoop, and I just scoop out the oats, I scoop out the protein powder, I scoop out the pepitas or pumpkin seeds, and sometimes there's chia or sunflower seeds in there as well. And then I have almond milk, okay, a little bit of almond milk with a dollop of coconut yogurt on top. and a few berries. That sounds really hard, but it seriously takes 2 seconds. And I have had the same breakfast for such a long time. And if you think about it, it's a little bit of carb, a little bit of protein. You also get some protein from the nuts and seeds and the fats, which is in the coconut yogurt. Okay, it's coconut yogurt. That's my breakfast. And then mid-morning, I may have 2 boiled eggs and a banana. Once again, it's protein in the eggs. Okay. For lunch, it may be some rice cakes with a little bit of tomato, and I buy chicken from the grocery store. They cook the chicken the day before and then they have it cold in the deli. So I just put a little bit of chicken on that. So once again, it's protein. So already I've had 20 grams at breakfast, 20 grams mid-morning, 20 grams at lunch. So I've already had 60 grams of protein. Then in the afternoon, what do I have? Oh, I have a mix of things. Maybe it's a little bit of hummus with some carrot sticks. And then for dinner, it's generally a meat or chicken or fish with vegetables. And then I have some chocolate. So you can see that I've sprinkled out my protein. That's one big thing that women don't do. They have protein for dinner and maybe a little bit at lunch, and they only have 40 grams a day, but you really should be hitting around that sort of 90 grams of protein per day.
So the idea of the mid morning meal, kind of that in between breakfast and lunch, not technically brunch in the sense that brunch is when somebody forgets to have breakfast and just has breakfast at lunchtime, but just the idea of that middle meal, it lines up with some of the stuff that I've been taught when I saw a naturopath. And now, if you treat your stomach like a computer, it's better to have your computer on and running consistently. Maybe you put it on sleep in a low power state, but then you activate it when it's time to use it, versus shutting it off and then turning it on and then using the extra energy it takes for the boot up and shutdown process. Likewise, our stomachs, same problem. Like if we have the big meals and then nothing, and then big meal and then nothing, then big meal and then nothing, it puts more strain on the stomach than a consistent digestive process. That's what my naturopath taught me, and it always
Yeah,
stuck
but
with
it's
me.
also insulin. So you remember you've been sleeping all night. Okay. You wake
Right.
up in the morning. If you have a fruit pop, or what do they call it? Fruit loops or whatever, high sugary breakfast, you're going
Sure.
from a state
Yeah.
of sleeping to then all of a sudden spiking your sugar. Okay. And then if you don't eat for 4 hours, your sugar's going to drop. So you kind of get this, like a share market, you get the volatility, the peaks up and down, up and down. You don't want that. You want to have a nice sort of, as much as you can, a straight line with regards to your insulin, because the more peaks that you get, as you raise your blood sugar raises, so does your insulin, and it's dangerous. So your body says, oh, okay, that's too much insulin. I'm going to swipe that and I'm going to store it in your fat cells and I'm going to keep it there. So you want to make sure that insulin level is nice and sustained, hence why you want to eat every 2 to 3 hours. And this is important. I just want to point this out. The reason why you want to eat every 2 to 3 hours as well is because you don't want to allow yourself to get hungry. When you might be sitting at your desk and you think, you kind of get that little pang in your stomach. That's ghrelin going, hey, I'm hungry, feed me. If you ignore that and wait 10, 15, 20 minutes, or even half an hour, you get to that point on the hunger scale that you get really hungry or hangry, and then you get to famished, right? And then when you get to that point, you can eat a packet of biscuits easy. So I don't allow myself to get hungry. I'm always eating, like that guy, my neighbor. And I said, I'm eating all the time. So people think to lose weight, you restrict your food. No, I'm actually eating all the time, but I eat good food like eggs or hummus, or you know what I mean? I have cold chicken. I just might eat a little bit of chicken here or there. And I still have my chocolate, right? If I want to have a cake, I have a cake. But I'm always eating because I'm respecting my body and I'm keeping my insulin levels sustained, you see? Because it's the peaks of that insulin that stores body fat.
The insulin side of it is definitely not something that is prevalent on my mindset, but I look forward to changing that. So last question for you, and then we'll wrap this up. But do you do any fasting at all, or do you find that fasting has not really been effective for your body type, or do you find that the whole idea of like intermittent fasting isn't really maybe you don't think it's a good idea or
Look, if you
not?
don't eat, you're not going to, you're going to not put on weight, right? I've seen women who've been intermittent fasting for years, and it wreaks havoc on your digestive system, and especially later on in life when your hormones start to change, you go perimenopausal, etc. Intermittent fasting, look, every now and then, even every quarter, I might do a 1 day where I just juice all day, right? But I do not believe in
Right.
intermittent fasting long term. If you can delay When you get up, if you can sort of delay an hour or two before you eat something, and remember it's small. So when I talk about meals, they're only small, but they're consistent. They're every 2 to 3 hours. People don't eat in the morning, or they're fasting, and then they're so hungry in the afternoon because you're wreaking havoc with your insulin levels, your digestive system. So no, I'm not a fan of long-term intermittent fasting at all. I'm even not a fan of keto. Keto you will lose weight if you're on keto, but it's not a long-term strategy. Fasting is not a long-term strategy. I'm all about sustained weight loss, sustained, weight maintenance. And that just means eating regularly, small meals, lots of protein, lots of water, moving the body, great mindset, and all encompassing. It works. It just takes work. You have to want it. That's why you're compelling reason. So that's why you need a coach, just to help you put it all together. Not me. It can be any coach, as long as they guide you in the right way. But yeah, it's not just about food. I encourage, I don't know, it's all mindset, Joseph. I keep coming back to that. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate the time that I've got to spend with you today to learn about all this stuff. And it's really, really like tangible, actionable stuff right towards the end there that I was hoping for as well. So I just wanted to give you the floor once more in case there was any other thoughts or reactions floating in your mind that you wanted to express on the program. And then otherwise, just let us know what are you working on and where we can find you.
Yeah, I just encourage people to really just stop and really think about what they're thinking about, and are they in a happy place? And if not, start to work on what do they really want out of life, and start to jot things down, research online, to find someone to help you, and really start to take the time to work on themselves. Because I find a lot of ladies wait until they're desperate for a change. Don't wait till you're desperate. Go and walk around a hospital ward in the cardiology section and really see what could happen. That's not to frighten you, but it's like, take ownership of your life. You don't have to do it all alone. You are not an expert in weight loss if that's what your main priority is. So, hire a coach, or I think everyone needs coaches in life. To find me, you can go to my website. To be honest, I was hacked a little while back, and my social media and everything is a total mess. Yes, I did have 2-factor authentication. Long story, won't bore you with that, but it really has impacted my business. But yeah, just go to my website, book a call with me. We can have a, one-on-one chat and just see, whether we're the right fit together. If not, I'm very resourceful, so I can give you lots of tools and things to work on. I'm happy to give you workbooks and things to start to uncover your mindset. There's no heavy pressure to work together at all. I just want you to create change. I will ignite something in you to create a change. It's not going to be a fluffy call. I'll be direct, but just start to make that change, because life is too short.
And with that, I just wanted to say thank you once more for your time and your expertise. I couldn't appreciate you enough, and now you have the whole day to do as you see fit. So with that, to my audience, as always, your participation in your way does mean a lot to me. To everybody who is listening, if there's anything that we can do, or any feedback, or if you are a coach yourself and you want to give the program a shot, I'm more than happy to hear from you. It is Joseph at impactfulcoachingpodcast.com. It is spelled the way you think. And with all of that said, we are going to sign off for today. It is the endeavor of the Impactful Coaching Podcast to, whatever it is you do, make sure that you're impactful.
Thank you, Joseph. Great to talk to you.